Yes, GM. Cool. I think we can start kicking it off. We've got 19 people in here.
Yeah.
19 degens, 20 degens. Yes. Hopefully everyone's good, solvent, not too levered up in these volatile times, both financially and politically.
Yeah, the crab walk, as he calls
Crab
it.
walk. Yeah, it's all about when I'm talking to some other traders, big thing is just like safe yields. People are really all about how do I de-risk? How can I get yields in the safest, consistent way possible? I think that's like the feeling right now. I don't think anyone's like super bullish on anything on the macro side. So
Yeah.
I think people are just kind of like testing the waters, seeing what's going on, waiting for the next kind of wave, but mostly just staying safe.
Yeah, it sounds like the macro narrative too, like with banks and dividends and coming out of the tech stocks, but who knows?
Yeah, we should say none of what we talk about here is financial advice. Consult your financial advisor for that stuff, not us. Cool. Well, yeah, if you want to kick it off, Matt.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just a couple hiring updates. We are looking for a senior product manager and a senior front-end engineer. So if anybody is good at those, please let us know. We'd be happy to consider. That's it from the hiring. You can go ahead.
Cool. Yeah. So this has been a really good week for the team. Some people were out and coming back in. It's great to have them and really push forward on what we've got coming. So as some of you know, there's been the Frax update, and I wanted to touch on that really quick. So, there was a Frax proposal for Futureswap and Frax to work together. It wasn't said specifically this is being used for FraxSwap because at the time, I don't think they had really gone public with, hey, we're doing FraxSwap. We said, hey, we won't push that. But because of that, I think the proposal that was written was kind of unclear into how the relationship would be. And due to that, some of the whales felt like this proposal really wasn't thought out enough, given the information that it had and given the context that this was coming from, which was not FraxSwap. And while there was a lot of support, unfortunately, a large whale said no, and I totally understand. That doesn't mean that Frax and Futureswap will not be working together. That just means that particular proposal did not go through. So just wanted to clear the air on that. We do plan on working with them. I'll not give so many details just to make sure that it's not too hyped up. But yeah, in terms of FraxSwap, we're really excited for what they're building. We've definitely been in the code, helping out where we can, and yeah, it's been good so far. So we are excited to be part of that. And once it launches, I think it's going to be really fun. That's sort of like a side path for Futureswap. Our main path, obviously, is just being an extension for all AMMs to enable leverage trading in the best way possible. And it's something we've been iterating on. And part of that is sort of our tokenomics, right? And so we've been talking about tokenomics for a while. We've been really deep in thinking about how we want to do this. We've had ambassador conversations about how to do tokenomics. Public has been our community members have been, asking, hey, what are you guys going to do with tokenomics? So for a while, we've been thinking about how to do this, and we just want to make sure it's done correctly. We don't want to rush into something that we don't really feel strongly about. So we just want to make sure it's done right. But something that we have been looking at quite a bit is the ribbon tokenomics. We actually think that's a pretty good model, and plan to have a bit of clarity going forward. But really, it's totally dependent on this next launch, which I'll be talking about. We want to make sure that the tokenomics are not the thing the product is built around, but more so that the tokenomics should be built around helping the product as much as possible. And so there are features that we want to test to make sure they're validated before we really put in stone these tokenomics. Because once you commit to something, it's pretty hard, especially with VE. If people are locking up for 3 to 4 years, it's kind of tricky to be like, we found something better, we're moving to this. I think someone just asked, Matt just asked, what about the ribbon tokenomics are interesting. I think, overall, we've been looking at the VE model as something that there's been quite a bit of success from other protocols. And kind of digging deeper into that, the core reason is like people who have voting power and weight in the community are those who are most vested. And that makes sense. Like if I can just come and buy a bunch of tokens and change the protocol in terms of where it's putting rewards and then dump very quickly, I think it creates this sort of this revolving door, this very fast exit mechanism. But by locking up your votes, you're essentially committing to the protocol for a long period of time. And I think that's why people are so attracted to it. Yeah. I mean, it could definitely, the direction is to be more like Uniswap. And that's sort of that's been the goal, and sort of that's the path that we've sort of been on, is how do we get a lot of permissionless, or I should say perpetuals talk about, hey, we're going to be permissionless. But I think what they're missing is like, how manipulatable are these markets that you create that are permissionless, and how like wrecked are your LPs going to get? And it's something that we've been thinking about for a long time, and just wanting to make sure it's done right. And we think we've got the way to do it, and this is what we'll be testing. This version isn't permissionless. It's more permissionless than before, but it's not purely permissionless. But if all goes well, the next version could very well be permissionless. And we've been thinking about how to do this, and there's a few things mechanisms that we want to test before we commit to that. So yeah, I would say that's what's appealing about the ribbon tokenomics. And I think basically, if you haven't been here for the other tokenomics conversations, the idea is that instead of taking the approach for what normally protocols do, which is liquidity LP incentives, it would be trade LP incentives. And this is almost more like the solidly incentives, where you LP, but the trade volume, basically fees and rewards are accrued to those who are participating in the LP positions and who voted. And this creates a very interesting dynamic, and I think aligns incentives more so than just doing something like single-sided staking or something like this. So it's a big commitment. We're not jumping into it. We're mostly focused on the product right now. So yeah. Something exciting is we have a design refresh coming. So on the exchange page, we've been working hard on revamping and listening to our users and doing lots of interviews. on making our trade page a lot better, a lot more, lowering the friction, making it a lot easier to understand where you are in your position, how profitable you are, liquidation, and all the rewards. So that's coming. We expect that to be there for this next launch, and we're really excited about it. Some of you have seen, we floated around to some people for feedback. So that's been awesome, really awesome.
Yeah, it looks so good.
In terms of the launch timeline, so yeah, we're excited to announce we will be launching at the end of this month on Avalanche with some nice features. We'll be initially going after some of the main token pairs, the most liquid token pairs, but we'll be following up with token pairs that are not available anywhere else. And we'll be using our TWAP system to as an oracle for pairs that don't have oracles. So this will be really exciting, and this is part of the test of or step to being more permissionless and understanding sort of the constraints around this, what the real world sort of examples look like, and just making sure that this works as expected. So this is something we're really excited about, but we kick this off at the end of this month. So something to look forward to. Definitely if you're an AVAX holder or an Avalanche speculator, definitely check out what we'll be doing over there. We've got some exciting rewards and incentives. And to follow up with that, we've turned down our Arbitrum rewards in anticipation for what we'll be launching on Avalanche. For the Avalanche rewards, it is going to be changed quite a bit in terms of severely reducing the lockup, the vesting period. So that's something that's changing. Before, what we had is a year lockup. Now it's pretty much going to be immediate in terms of getting your rewards. So if you trade or you're an LP or whatever, you can basically get your FST out very quickly. Obviously, we'll need a pool for that. So we're excited to announce how we plan on doing this pool. I don't want to give too much detail yet, but yeah, it'll be a nice pool for people to use to get Futureswap. Yeah, so that's exciting. One thing that we plan on testing that we'd love your feedback on for this launch is essentially on Avalanche right now, there's a lot of farms or a lot of token projects that have single-sided staking. And so we're interested in how to use Futureswap for potentially delta neutral staking rewards. So this is something that if people are doing this now with other protocols or want to do this, we're very interested in how to approach this in the best way possible. It will be possible on with our new version on Avalanche, just because we can go to those token projects really easily, but we'd love to know how to make this easier. And if this is a product that, or if this is sort of like a system that we should spend more time focusing on to make it easier for you to get low risk rewards. And the idea is hey, some project has single-sided staking, but it's a volatile token. You buy the token, you stake, and then you essentially open up a short on Futureswap with the same notional size as the amount you bought, and this basically locks in your yield for that token. So definitely those who are doing this right now, or those who are wanting to do this, potentially let us know, because there's some very attractive farms out there, and in an environment that's a little frothy in terms of volatility, it's helpful to manage your risk. So those are the high levels that we have so far. Are there any questions or comments so far around what's been talked about? Zero Dot mentioned liquidity. They have zero governance and a token that economically incentivizes behavior that benefits the protocol, where the token solves a problem and serves a clear, well-defined purpose. One of my favorite projects out there. Yeah, so there's an endless versioning of tokenomics. VE is one flavor. And so we're not so set on one particular thing. That's why for us, it's mainly focusing on the product and making sure it's like something that's really awesome to use, because the tokenomics come after that. And that's what we focus most of our time on, and not like sort of token games. So definitely, if something comes up that it's like way better to go in this direction, we're very open to it. But as we approach this, it's looking like VE is a nice catch-all. But if there's something better, we're really open to it. What other questions are there? Cool. Leisure Lord, is there anything you want to chat about or go over?
We have a new POAP graphic, which is pretty sweet. We're looking to continue to innovate on those, maybe add some animations and things like that. And eventually sort of expand into things that we can up our meme game with, which I'm always excited about. We will be doing a manual distribution for the POAPs, so I'll be DMing you, so have those DMs open. And that's it from the POAP side.
Cool. We'll hang around for a little bit longer in case there's questions. Maybe we can just talk about recent events that have happened over the week. I know this, like, was it Crystal Vale or Crystal Dale, or there's like the Avalanche.
The DeFi Kingdom.
Yeah, DeFi Kingdoms.
Yeah.
Did you get to use that?
I haven't used it. I just looked into it just because I, generally am always interested in like gaming and how it merges with DeFi, and it looks really cool. They're using a subnet on Avalanche. I think them and Krabata is another game are
Yeah.
doing both subnets, which is kind of an interesting move. Um, I kind of like looked into like technically how that works. And it's pretty interesting the way Avalanche has that sort of horizontal scaling with all the subnets. So should be cool to see how it works.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an ETH maxi for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool to at least see all, like, what Avalanche is doing is basically these, like, app chains, right? And Cosmos has this. They've done a really good job, and you've got Polkadot who has this. They've also done a good job, and so I think we're going to see a lot more app chains coming out, and this will be great for Ethereum devs and builders to kind of watch and see how Ethereum does its sharding and how that kind of relates to potentially, like, is there an analog to app chains there? Almost as like an experiment to see what works, what doesn't work. So I think that's really exciting. But definitely, I think we're going to see way more around app chains and people launching on these things and sort of the power that gives you. Yeah, and then how is that composable with the rest of the chain? Yeah, I think that's very interesting.
And potentially composable with Futureswap, given that the token is trading.
Yeah. So let's answer some of these. What marketing ideas have been put forward from the new recruit? Really good ones. For this launch, we've been sort of focusing on a marketing plan and what we're going to do. And we've got some really exciting events to get started with, but also just more engagement, more design, um, understanding sort of where traders are and how to market to them, and just creating like a very clear um, communication in terms of product offering. And so that's something that's in the works right now, is just how do we make what we have very clear with this new version, and what is the advantage, what is the value, and who should be using it. So definitely getting Wilton more up to speed and able to do his best in this space. So we've been leveling Wilton up, and he's been leveling us up. So it's been really good, and the fruits of those efforts will be seen hopefully at the end of the month. Not too much pressure, but yeah, we're excited. So liquidity for FST token needs to be fixed. Yeah, so that was kind of a big piece of the Frax partnership, and yeah, I'm pretty confident that on our next launch we'll have something that addresses that issue. So I don't want to give too many details, but yeah, we're definitely doing something along those lines, which should make users pretty happy. But yeah, on Ethereum right now, definitely non-ideal. You'll definitely see more liquidity on Avalanche. So we've been working with Seller quite a bit on making sure that we can do. We're one of the first users of the Seller contract bridge. So we've been working pretty closely with them on contract bridge, and we can do token bridge, and that enables us to kind of go to any of these chains and be able to do governance executions to those things. But that hasn't been available on Avalanche, from Ethereum to Avalanche yet. So we'll be one of the first groups to test that out. And I think they just announced that they're releasing kind of the production version this week or later next week. So now that sort of unlocks our ability to run governance executions, we'll be able to do more incentives to other chains, specifically this Avalanche launch. And after Avalanche, just to be clear, yes, we know like most token holders on Ethereum. So we do plan on, launching an Ethereum version shortly after Avalanche, but we want to make sure that we nail down some of the things we want to test on Avalanche first for this sort of like permissionless path before we commit to Ethereum, where we really want to make sure it's fine-tuned. So obviously, like a lot of the really cool stuff is on Ethereum. I mean, that's like the main chain right now. So it is a bit of a side route, but I think people will understand why as we move forward. But yeah, hopefully that answers some of those questions. We definitely see where that is and have ways of fixing it. And yeah, we're excited. Cool. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free to ping us. Happy to go over anything. We're really excited for this next launch. Please participate. We'll give you all the info soon. There will be some juicy rewards with liquidity pools, so it should make it a nice experience. Yeah, and a bunch of interesting pairs, much faster than we've had before. So just tuning the machine and testing it so that it can really ramp up as quickly as we want it to. So thanks for being patient. I know things have been definitely spotty, but yeah, I appreciate this community for just hanging in there. We've been on a pretty bumpy road, and the team is pretty experienced in going down this path, and we definitely are all in this to make sure that Futureswap is a protocol that brings an incredible amount of value to its users, and that's what we want to focus on and everything sort of relates to that. So thanks for being patient with us. We appreciate your feedback, and we really appreciate your support of just being there for us and being users. So yeah, till next time.
Cool. Thanks for coming, guys. I'll
Okay.
be sending out POAPs.
Okay. See you.
Cool. See you guys.